Below 234. Rick Santelli, what are you watching?
I'm watching the markets in general, even though rates are down today and the stock market isn't necessarily on its highs, it's not far away. And yields are still much higher than they were right around and under 180 before the election. But yet, boy, it seems like there's an awful lot of bad news out there. Why aren't the markets listening? We'll talk about that after the break.
Telly Exchange. Hello, Rick.
Thanks, Mike. How you doing? We all remember the credit crisis really well. I'll tell you one thing. You didn't have to pick up a newspaper, listen to the TV to see what the markets were doing. Things were happening and markets were moving. Equity markets weren't acting very well. The fixed income market, yields were in a free fall. When we had the TARP vote to try to address some of those situations, the markets were front and center. Market movement played a role in how the politics and the policy, at least at that point in time, panned out. But one thing I don't see now, when I look at the news, there's a lot of big stories out there with a lot of big things attached to them. Fascism. The end of democracy. Now, I don't want to get involved in politics, but I like to stay involved with the markets. I don't know, when I look up, I don't see that. I don't see this big collapse. One of my favorite Bond movies is Skyfall, but I don't see yields skyfalling. I hear a lot of talk from skyfallers. In the end, I think the most important aspect is to try to keep some type of notion that even though markets aren't the ultimate diviner of what's going on in politics, I think it's pretty fair to say if this was the end of democracy as we know it, or the president was really a fascist, I just can't even imagine that markets would act the way they're acting. It doesn't make sense to me. It almost seems though some in the news are trying to bait the markets into that type of activity. I will just leave you with one or two really simple common sense comments, okay? When fascists get rid of people that work for them, usually the get rid of part is a little bit more intense than being shown with a baseball hat on at home with a smile. Doesn't that somewhat make sense? Or when a fascist's orders aren't followed, they usually don't listen to the courts with respect to that solution or answer or whatever it is. So, listen, politics, everybody's allowed their opinion. But when it comes to markets, it might not tell you the next move politically. It might not tell you exactly who's going to win or lose an election. But I'll tell you what, I don't know a market that would miss the end of democracy and still be close to 21,000.